Hello, my name is V, and life has been weird lately. So, I'm going to read some good news to you. Today, we have 4 articles. The first is titled, Deep Below the Lost City, Scientists Uncovered Superheated Water That May Fuel One of Earth's Strangest Ecosystems, posted on ScienceX, written by Sayan Tribedi, edited by Lisa Locke, reviewed by Andrew Zanin. Second, we have brain-inspired nanopore device uses current-induced heating for memory operations, written by Krystal Kasal on phys.org, edited by Gaby Clark, reviewed by also Andrew Zanin. Could you, Andrew? I think we have a recurring theme here. A lot of Andrew Zanin. Third, we have human-machine learning boosts non-invasive brain-computer control in untrained users by Carnegie Mellon University, edited by Gaby Clark. You know who reviewed it. And lastly, and then the previous article is posted on techexplore.com. Lastly, an article titled, Children Are Overwhelmingly Positive for the Future, says survey, with words by Tom Pattinson, posted on positive.news. So now, deep below the lost city, scientists uncovered superheated water that may fuel one of Earth's strangest ecosystems. Deep in the Atlantic Ocean, the Lost City hydrothermal field is known for eerie white chimney structures made of carbonate. Alkaline hot springs, loaded with hydrogen and methane, emerge from the seafloor there. Rather than depending on sunlight for survival, living organisms thrive on energy produced by the reaction of water with rocks underground. However, one question remained. Where does the energy-rich fluid that feeds the strange ecosystem actually come from? In an experiment, researchers drilled to the depth of almost 1.3 kilometers, or 0.8 miles, within the Atlantis Massif, where they found water emerging from beneath the ocean floor. Chemical tests confirmed that the water contained chemicals formed by reactions occurring at temperatures of at least 300 degrees Celsius, or 572 degrees Fahrenheit. Even more astonishing, the water's chemical composition was almost identical to that of water emerging from the Lost City vents. The results show that the system's fuel came from a superheated underground water source. Drilling into the Atlantic crust. By early 2023, IODP Expedition 399, scientists aboard the JOIDES Resolution drilled hole U1601C to 1,268 meters, or 4,160 feet, below the seafloor, or MBSF, in the Atlantis Massif. Just about 800 meters, or 2,600 feet, north of Lost City. This unusually deep borehole penetrated mostly mantle peridotite, along with layers of gabbro. After drilling stopped, researchers pumped borehole water to the surface from various depths. The upper, about 465 meters or 1,530 feet of fluid was dominated by injected water and fresh water used during drilling. Crucially, deeper samples contained an increasing share of natural formation water flowing up from the rock. In the deepest samples, around 675 to 800 MBSF, or 2,215 to 2,625 feet, up to about 80% of the fluid was this native water. The chemical composition of the deep water revealed that it had reacted extensively with rock minerals. Almost all its magnesium content was stripped away, while it gained large amounts of calcium and other minerals. Such a reaction requires prolonged interaction with hot rocks. Indeed, the formation water appears to have been in equilibrium at a temperature of 300 degrees Celsius or 572 degrees Fahrenheit or higher, despite the hole being much cooler during sampling. The chemistry tells the tale. The composition of the formation water offers compelling clues. Its zero magnesium, high calcium signature is a textbook indicator of extensive water-rock reaction in gabbroic and ultramafic rock. In addition to calcium, the fluid picked up abundant lithium, rubidium, cesium, and strontium from the rock. Such a signature closely matches models of the deep end member of lost cities' vent fluids. This deep water chemistry closely resembles the fuel that emerges at Lost City. The researchers emphasize the importance of this result. As they write, our results provide the first direct evidence for deep, high-temperature fluid circulation through gabbroic and ultramafic lithologies beneath the Atlantis Massif. They have found the elusive deep source of the vent's fluid. The water's journey, plunging, heating up, and then rising, demonstrates a hidden plumbing system. These findings demonstrate how seawater circulates deep into oceanic plates and transports chemical energy to shallower environments, potentially supporting microbial life, the team notes. Rocks deep in the crust are now shown to be generating and channeling the hydrogen-rich fluid that fuels Lost City's ecosystem. Looking to other worlds and the future. This finding has far-reaching implications. It indicates that hydrogen-enriched natural water can form through reactions involving deep crustal rocks, an important area of research for understanding Earth's energy cycles and searching for extraterrestrial life. Lost City is considered one of the sites analogous to habitable environments on ice-covered ocean worlds. However, the authors stress the limitations of the current findings because the samples are heavily mixed. In particular, the borehole fluid samples were taken a few days after drilling and were mixed with seawater, freshwater, and drilling fluid. The exact proportions contributed by gabbro versus ultramafic rock remain uncertain, and the study does not yet prove a direct pipe between this borehole and the Lost City chimneys. In the future, the researchers will return to the hole once it has stabilized and use gas-tight samplers to capture pure formation water, including dissolved hydrogen. Improved samples will help refine how and where the deep fluid reacts with rock and how much chemical energy it delivers. For now, scientists have peered into one of Earth's last great frontiers, the deep, fractured ocean crust. Their findings suggest that far below the Lost City vents, scalding, hydrogen-rich fluids circulate through the basement rock. This ancient, hidden reservoir of energy may prove central, not just to our own planet's mysteries, but to understanding where life could thrive in sunless seas beyond Earth. Very cool. Or very hot. Now, brain-inspired nanopore device uses current-induced heating for memory operations. Some researchers are leaning into biology for inspiration in computing. In particular, neuromorphic computing offers a brain-inspired approach to hardware that replaces traditional binary processing with systems that function more like neurons and synapses. Now, a new study published in Nature Communications describes an innovative design for a fluidic memristore, I like that word, that uses its own self-heating mechanism to induce a history-dependent memory effect. Brain-like computing. So far, most memristore, or memory resistor, devices have used solid materials with electrons or holes functioning as charge carriers. But fluidic memristors instead take advantage of the movement of ions in liquids, which more closely mimics biological signaling, like that which occurs in the brain. However, existing fluidic memristors can be difficult to fabricate and offer a limited range of memory behaviors. The authors of the new study came up with a way to overcome some of these limitations by using temperature fluctuations while also making the device more brain-like. They write, "The exploration of additional memristive mechanisms may be beneficial. In conventional integrated circuits, localized heating is generally regarded as an unnecessary and even a harmful side effect. However, in biological neural systems, thermal signals are closely linked to essential life processes. They significantly affect neuronal functions, including ion channel activation, action potential conduction speed, and firing patterns. Therefore, accounting for temperature effects in fluidic systems allows for more precise simulation of living organisms' physiological states. This not only provides an alternative approach for emulating the dynamic behavior of biological neurons, but also offers a method for creating neuromorphic systems with biosimilar temperature regulation." The self-heating induced blocking memristor. Earlier fluidic memristors used ion buildup, mechanical deformation, or chemical reactions to change conductivity. But some studies showed that precipitation and dissolution can help create ionic memory effects. The research team involved in the new study wanted to test whether a memristor could use its own electrical heating to create and erase memory states. To do this, they designed a nanopore device, referred to as a self-heating induced blocking memristor, or SIBM, whose self-induced electrical current heats tiny liquid-filled pores. High voltage enables heating that causes dissolved salt to form solid particles that clog the pores, reducing ionic current and driving the device into a high resistance state, or HRS. When the voltage is reduced, the pores cool again, the particles clear, ion flow returns, and the device goes back to a low resistance state. This reversible clogging generates a short-term, history-dependent memory effect. Simulations confirmed that the nonlinear increase in ionic current is due to Joule heating. The team also found that increasing the pore size attenuates the memory effect and the nonlinear current voltage behavior, which eventually disappears. Further testing showed that the device could reproduce several simplified neural behaviors, including signal weakening, frequency sensitivity, forgetting, and associative learning. The team says the SIBM showed good consistency after undergoing more than 60 consecutive switching cycles, achieved response times of 12 milliseconds after training, and showed retention times of up to 1,500 seconds before relaxation. The future of SIBMs. The design is still an early proof-of-concept device, and more work is needed for practical applications. The team suggests that tuning pore size, surface properties, and solution chemistry can further reduce energy use and goodness graciousness. Tuning pore size, surface properties, and solution chemistry can further reduce energy use and improve stability. Further work could use larger arrays to test whether the technology can perform more practical computing tasks. Eventually, the team says this concept can be used in applications involving integrated computing and information storage. The study authors write, meanwhile, the high chemical tunability inherent to the precipitation process holds promise for enabling an integrated functional platform that combines thermal, chemical, and iontronics, which could further emulate the complex dynamic behaviors of biological systems. In conclusion, this study offers a promising paradigm for thermal application in nanopores and establishes a critical foundation for advancing neuromorphic nanofluid devices. Super cool, super lovely. Now, human machine learning boosts non-invasive brain-computer control in untrained users. Implantable devices in the brain have been used for about 30 years to assist people with disabilities in completing motor tasks. However, the devices are simply not accessible to the vast majority of people who need help. Despite decades of work in this field, fewer than 100 people worldwide have benefited from the technology. The costs are prohibitive, and the brain surgeries are inherently risky. That's why Carnegie Mellon researchers, including Bin He, professor of biomedical engineering, electrical and computer engineering, and the Neuroscience Institute, have long been working on non-invasive brain-computer interfaces, or BCIs, to develop technology that is less expensive, safer, and more accessible to a wider population. Over the past 10 to 15 years, they have used non-invasive BCIs to fly a drone, control a robotic arm, and maintain continuous control of a robotic arm, and, most recently, complete fine motor tasks at the finger level. Yet the accuracy and level of control using non-invasive technology remains challenging. Bridging two kinds of learning. For the first time, a team of researchers led by He has developed a hybrid technology that combines human learning and machine learning in non-invasive BCIs. The results of the study, published in Nature Communications, show a significant scientific and technological advance in BCIs through a novel framework that directly addresses long-standing training inefficiencies and establishes a scalable pathway toward robust and generalizable neural interfaces. One of the challenges addressed with the novel framework is that humans and computers learn in different ways. Humans learn by trial and error as our brains try different things, get feedback, and rewire themselves based on what works. The AI, or machine learning code, updates itself using strict, predictable mathematical formulas to find the most efficient path. Because the human brain and the computer program are adapting in such different ways, they can get out of sync or pull in different directions, creating a roadblock for the BCI. Excuse me. In this study, researchers introduced the first sensory-guided joint learning framework that explicitly unifies these two modes of learning. By embedding structured tactile guidance to shape user strategies and deploying adaptive algorithms that selectively weight informative neural patterns, their novel approach aligns human neuroplasticity with decoder optimization. Strong results in new users. In a study of 31 able-bodied participants untrained in BCIs, the researchers demonstrated that the sensory-guided joint learning framework produces rapid and sustained gains in motor imagery controlled across tasks of increasing complexity. Participants achieved average discrete accuracies of 86% for one-dimensional cursor control and 77.5% for two-dimensional cursor control, along with continuous accuracies of 77.5% 1D and 66.9% 2D. Hey, I think that's how you pronounce the name, senior author of the study, said these performance levels are rarely observed in BCI users with limited training. By incorporating neuroscience and machine learning, we are approaching closer and closer the accuracy of invasive brain-computer interfaces, said Hay. By aligning reinforcement-driven neuroplasticity with gradient-based decoder optimization, our approach transcends the limitations of conventional BCI training protocols that rely on passive calibration or one-way feedback. The outcome is not only a marked improvement in accuracy, but also the establishment of a fundamentally new mode of human-machine co-adaptation in which both partners converge towards shared, physiologically grounded control strategies. A clearer path to everyday use. Beyond laboratory validation, Hay said this novel integrated approach has clear translational potential. The ability to achieve rapid and reliable BCI control in untrained users addresses a central barrier to clinical deployment, particularly in neurorehabilitation, assistive communication, and prosthetic control. By reducing training demands while enhancing neural engagement, the sensory-guided joint learning framework brings non-invasive BCIs closer to scalable, everyday use, Hay said. In doing so, it marks a paradigm shift from calibration-intensive systems toward adaptive, user-centered neural interfaces with real-world viability. The more work we do in this area, the more likely we will one day reach a non-invasive BCI that is as accurate as an implanted device in the brain, said Hay. That is my hope, my dream. Very lovely. Super cool. Super cool. Now, a blatantly optimistic article. Children are overwhelmingly positive for the future, says survey. When hundreds of children were asked what would make the world a better place, their answers ranged from major global challenges to ideas expressed with a little more economy. Together, they reflected a pattern appearing across a growing body of research. Young people may be anxious about the future, but many still believe they can help shape it. In a recent poll of young readers by the Week Junior, 97% said they felt able to make a positive difference in the world, while 63% said they were hopeful about the future. Younger children were more likely to feel hopeful than older respondents. Power on. The poll, released ahead of the International Day of Hope on July 12th, on 12 July, was conducted among readers of a current affairs magazine and should not be treated as representative of all children. Even so, its central finding, a strong sense of personal agency alongside considerable anxiety, is echoed in larger studies. The King's Trust Youth Index, based on a representative YouGov survey of 4,285 people aged 16 to 25 across the UK, found that 70% were determined to achieve their goals. Almost a quarter said one of their greatest ambitions was to have a positive effect on society or their community, yet 53% felt anxious about their future every day. A similar theme emerged in the UK Youth Poll 2026, conducted by the John Smith Centre at the University of Glasgow among more than 2,000 people aged 16 to 29. Only 36% expected eventually to enjoy a better life than their parents, down from 63% a year earlier, but 73% had taken part in at least one political or community activity during the previous year. The younger readers surveyed by the Week Junior placed many of the same issues near the top of their concerns. Some, 40%, said helping the climate and nature should be a priority, suggesting tree planting, protecting wildlife habitats, cleaning oceans, and reducing plastic pollution. I'd get everyone to do one little thing each day to help the environment, one respondent said. Almost a third, 31%, talked about kindness, equality, and fairness, while 28% said ending wars and finding peaceful solutions should be a priority. Asked what they would do as Prime Minister, Children's proposed making people feel safe, widening access to education, planting trees, and providing free therapy. Their concern was not limited to distant global problems. Research by the Children's Society, based on responses from 2007 UK children aged 10 to 17, found that 40% were worried about rising prices and 43% about achieving good grades. 9% recorded low overall well-being, while consultations alongside the survey found that a constant flow of negative news and online content could leave young people feeling overwhelmed. What appears resilient is their belief that action, particularly close to home, remains worthwhile. In the Week Junior poll, 59% said they belonged to a group that helped their community, including scouts, guides, sports teams, school clubs, and volunteering projects. Among those who did not, 58% said they would like to join one. Readers described planting flowers at school, collecting litter, volunteering at park run, and coaching younger children. Viti, aged 9, raised more than £6,000 for Spread a Smile, which supports children in hospital. Technology produced a more divided response. Just over half, 51%, said they were worried about artificial intelligence, compared with 29% who felt positive and 20% who were unsure. I have used it and it is really helpful, but I also think it is a bit creepy. It knows everything, said one reader. The children described hope as a bright, safe future for all, feeling like you are accepted and can make a difference, and doing the right thing and seeing it start to make a positive difference. It was so uplifting to see how positive our readers feel about the future and the part they can play in building a kinder world, said Vanessa Harris, editor of The Week Junior. They feel empowered to make the world a better place, and many of them are already doing it. That is very lovely. It's a solid concluding article. All right. Well, this has been chill. This has been fun. This has been good news read to you.